pave that, the potential of that coming back over a year could happen. And I just want to, again, that's just from my own sort of what I know about the ecosystem.
Yeah, and that's where I don't feel qualified to, I left with a sense of a chicken and an egg kind of a thing, so I respect that. I think this is where we defer to, you know, what's the best interest of you being judicious with the funds and not having further problems down the road. And so that's where I want to fulfill my responsibility, but I also want to say that it gets to a point where I think it's beyond my expertise. So.
Right. Is that one where we get Matt and the Sunapee road agent together to walk through the back and come up with a
Yes,
proposal?
sure, and I would, yes, I won't make an assumption what I think they would come up with, but, right, I think I would know what they would come up with.
So the spreadsheet you handed out, Project 7, Middle High School parking lot, is that just the
Again,
back?
that's in the corner of the high school there, but the stop sign at the softball field,
Yep.
all the way back and around.
Okay. So we were estimating that it was 32 grand?
Right, came in at 20 was a little bit, and that is a company that he has chosen to do the work of all the summer project in the town.
Yep.
Yeah.
That includes, just to make sure, that includes from the side all the way around for the paving, and what, something for Jesse, a lot of cars, the small cars are starting to bottom out from divots on that whole side. Does that include fixing that with the guardrails?
Yeah, so it'll be leveling ground, underlay cutting what needs to be cut, and we'll bring it 2 inches, just like they did on the side. But that's what they did on the.
Do you remember how much it cost us just at the front end?
Yeah, it was 32,000, 36,000. It was, wholly bid was 72, and ended up costing us 32. 76 is what we thought it came in at, we could put out.
Do we need a motion to table this? Is that what we should be doing?
So,
You can-
but just another question is timeline, if we do want to get involved with the town paving, I know they're working on paving now, what's our window?
So we had talked about getting this done after we got out of school, and I think that's why we're listed as one of the lower end projects. I think this may have impacted some of, to a degree, not a lot, but this being potentially not done. So I think we can still have time to add it in, so we could potentially, I could say, hey, Matt, work with Scott, bring me up the numbers to get the erosion, if we're gonna put the pavement on the back, just the back side, what would it be? And bring me back a number, and we could hopefully still get that done if we approved it in June, and get that done this summer. I don't know that for sure, but that's the best I could,
So,
I can do that.
do you need a motion to?
I don't, so you
charge-
just, you're just giving me direction, and I'll bring it back.
Okay. Does that seem like a reasonable approach?
I think so.
Do you want to try to talk in 2 weeks or a week's time? When do you think I know
I'll
both
get-
these guys are extremely busy this time
Right,
of
I
year.
get, well, luckily we have Scott right pretty close to us during the day, and I can get him with Matt and have him go take a look at it, and he'll probably have his papers or in the ballpark, so.
If you want to follow up with
So we
our
get them before
subcommittee,
the
then
end
we
of the
can,
week.
Yeah, I don't want to drag this out. It just feels like the right way to do it, the responsible way to do it.
I don't want to muddy the waters.
yep,
Do you want to give them permission if there was a timeline in which we needed to give the okay? And I was giving you a price in which it was under that price to be able to do both pieces of work? Or am I asking too much?
I think we're required.
Well, you can give the committee approval and bring it back and
Yeah.
go forward.
I'm not sure that the paving thing's that time sensitive.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know they're off right now because of the rain.
Yep.
And so whatever it's been, they've been off. So I just processing, that's all.
It's a good process.
I'm comfortable either way.
thinking out loud, because price of oil's down to just about as low it's going to be. It's not going to get any cheaper.
We bought in right now on that.
Yeah.
Because he already sealed with that company.
It's not going to get any cheaper to do that. And it's going to have to be done sooner or later. And at this point, we'll be saving money if we did it sooner. So that's my thought process behind it, but certainly let's get Matt and,
You know.
yep.
Good, thank
Seem
you.
reasonable?
Finished with action items, moving on to information items. Proposed support staff for 17-18. And Russ, I'll put that to use. Do we have any additions, changes, modifications?
Probably, there is a deletion in there, so we're down in the para department. And the rest are, again, custodians, bus drivers, food service folks that are coming back and doing a great job.
So we have good retention,
Good retention.
people are happy. Good. Excellent, thank you.
So just one loss from the current.
Yeah, which we just chose not to, based upon need.
Yep.
Right.
CIP update list, I think we've been kind of bouncing around with
We
that.
went through it, yeah.
Okay,
Pushed it
and
up
then
there.
superintendent's evaluation, this should have been done probably 2 meetings ago, but we've been pretty busy with other things. This will be done in non-public. I've received surveys back. The board will review surveys as well as their experience and his evaluation. Next on the items on the agenda is manifest. So whoever would like to step up.
I'll motion to approve AP Manifest 2017-20, -20.1 and -21, as well as Payroll Manifest 2017-21 and -22.
Motion made by April, seconded by Ed. Any discussions on that motion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That concludes the business portion of the action items, information items, manifest. We're now moving to public forum, and this portion of the public forum is not only agenda, but anything that folks would like to speak about, in so much as they keep it less than 15 minutes total, aggregate, 3 minutes individually, and keep students and personnel. Am I missing anything? Students and personnel are off limits. So, the microphone is available. Seeing no movement to the microphone, I'll call it.
Jody Manson, Young Hill Road, Sunapee. I'd like to take the time tonight to mention a man that has truly made a difference in not only my children's lives, but in many children's lives here at Sunapee. As most of you know, my husband and I and our children attended Sunapee. A few years ago, I asked my now adult children who their favorite teacher was. Both responded, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy is a remarkable man and was also a remarkable teacher. He taught the kids not only academics, but probably even more importantly, he taught them about life through example on a daily basis. He connected with every child at some level and received heartfelt respect from his students. He did not have to demand the respect because the children wanted to please him. His
Jody,
disciplinary actions.
Could I interrupt for a second, please? It's not, Russ and I have just been discussing, I want to try to keep this content neutral, without names. We recognize that content neutral means that we can't have the positive without having the negative.
We can't.
I'm sorry.
Right, we're not going to give a limit comment. Right, so we're not talking about personnel because we're not going to give them a comment on personnel because we're not talking personnel. So personnel is good or bad, it's off the table.
So we can't talk about job performance?
No, it's personnel.
Personnel. All personnel items, all issues pertaining to personnel regarding your child, we need to follow the policies that we've set forward.
If you have to write something down and send it to me, I'm going to be happy to relay that message, or you can relay that message individually to an individual. Or
Yeah.
if there's an issue or complaint, relay it to me in writing, and I'll be happy to look that up and address
And
it.
understand, I would like to hear this as much as you'd like to say it, okay? I'm sitting here in this position with the rules that are set forward, policies that we have, and as much as I want to hear it, I'm gonna have to say thank you, but
But doesn't the New Hampshire School Board Association tell you that you can talk about job performance?
no. To my knowledge, I'm gonna defer to Mr. Holden.
No, we've had contact with the School Board Association, contact to our attorney. Right now, they have said to stick with our policies and not to speak regarding job performance and/or personnel in public session. This is a limited public forum. Not trying to infringe upon free speech. we have a way and a time and manner in which you can discuss those things, and it's written within our policies that you can write something to me, or as we talked about at the beginning, going to someone's immediate supervisor, that's either positive or negative.
Your point of order, this is an open public forum, I believe.
This is a limited public forum by statute. It's my understanding from the School Board Association and our attorney.
This is not an open public forum.
Open, but it's a limited public forum, yes.
And
That's how it's been,
limited.
that's how it's been explained to me. So.
Okay. So Jody, as much as I'd like to hear it, as much as Michael has meant to me, my kids,
It does seem that you're infringing upon free speech, though. You say you're not, but if you're picking and choosing what people can say, that is infringing. Whether you say you are or you aren't, you are.
I'm gonna have to ask you to close
Just don't
comments.
touch it, and to not have freedom of speech.
Thank you, Jody.
Can I ask about the meet and greet?
You've got enough- We've monopolized most of your 3 minutes, so there's
Oh.
another.
He monopolized it, so you
No,
are giving me the.
we've monopolized your minutes.
So then you can keep
So
going.
please, I'm doing the best I can with what I've got going on in front of me. So I appreciate your patience. Thank you. So go, please.
Okay, so you talked, the last meeting you had mentioned doing meet and greet. I specifically checked the agenda a couple of times because I didn't know if maybe you had changed it, forgotten to list it somewhere. How are people supposed to know about the meet and greet?
It was posted.
Say that again?
I believe it was posted. I know
Where
I
was
said
it
the-
posted?
I
It wasn't
said-
on the agenda.
It's a
It was a
separate,
separate posting,
on the school page.
and it was posted, I believe, at both schools. And Jody, did we get it up on the sign?
It's not on the sign on the side of the
Okay,
building.
but we got it, I know we got it.
It's on the front of the
schools.
school.
I assumed where we
Yeah,
talked about it at
I'm
the
just gonna
meeting,
ask
that it
Jody
would
to
have been
complete.
listed on the agenda, like from 6:30 to 7 would be the meet
Yeah.
and greet. According to Joanne, there were only 2 people here, being 2 teachers.
Oh, yeah,
So obviously
I
what you
consider
did
it
didn't
zero,
work,
yes.
right?
It's on the school website,
Yeah.
posted on April 27th.
Right, which you
Right.
just told me, and that's fine, except if you only had 2 teachers show up, obviously that wasn't a good way of posting it, I guess. Because
Okay.
I
Your
heard
point
about
is-
it and looked for it.
Yes,
And especially not having kids in school anymore, I don't tend to go to that school website.
Can we do
and
better?
go
Yes.
through it.
Will we do better in the future?
Maybe.
Most likely. You say maybe, I say most likely. Thank you. Oh,
I just wanted to
Sean.
talk about the Dan Beeson, which is, he was originally,
Could you
oh, 5
introduce
Apple Road,
yourself?
Son of New Hampshire.
Thank you.
Dan Beeson was with Team Design in 2006. He did the whole process for us. And I want to say it was around 60 or 70 grand to do that whole process. And then Dan, since then, I think he might have been part of the company or not, but he sold the company, and it's Harriman now. But Dan did all the stuff. We had community support on that. It was basically what happened was the timing was wrong. The safety service building was going on. There was a number of things going on, so we decided as the school to pull back. But we did not. The following year, we ended up putting an article in. I want to say it was like $200-something thousand to make a lot of corrections and make it better. Fix electrical, did a whole bunch of stuff to it to make it better, but it didn't fix the problem with what Jesse and Brian were talking about. So those things you can't fix them because of the school size, the classroom size. So we did do the plumbing and a few other things. So Dan, I think, before I had gotten off, was going to update, as far as I know, was going to update the plans to today's market value, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? That's what the 40 grand was. But it's just a limited few that do the school stuff, so it's very difficult to find people that will do that. But I think pricing was so that worked. And I think I remember he was going to just do consulting instead of doing the whole thing again. He was going to review the plans that we had already had for 2006, just to kind of give an idea, and I think that's what he's going to come back for. The other thing, I just finished a project up, getting to the school bus deal. A sea container, I call them sea container, they're probably a shipping container, like an 8x8 by 20, $3,400. You can store oils, you can store gas, you can store anything in them because they are vented. And they're very safe, you can lock them, so that could be an alternative. Plus, the smallest office trailer from China, $127 a month to rent, or you could buy. So it's an option you can get by, just about.
All right, thank you, Sean. John Augustine?
John Augustine, Stagecoach Road. Just on the Sunapee Central Elementary School renovations, it sounds like the renovations to actually do them will be large dollar amounts, and my sense is that that would probably require a bond, which the voters would vote on, and for a bond you need 60% approval to pass. That's my understanding. So what I would like to say tonight is I would just encourage you to try to think about, you know, the grand bargain that you'll bring to the community when you're ready to do so. Because my observations were that in the past, it was presented as such, the taxpayers were asking to contribute this, and no one else was asked to contribute. And what I mean by that is, I've mentioned in the past, like the three-legged stool, where you've got the students and parents are one leg of the stool, and the administration staff is the second leg, and the third leg is the taxpayers. And if it just goes forward that the taxpayers are asked to put forward $1 million or $2 million for the renovations of the school, I think the likelihood of that passing is low. But if you come forward in 1 year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, and say, this is the grand bargain that we've created. We feel as a community that this is really necessary. So we're asking the taxpayers to put up X. The teachers' union and the administration have been willing to make these concessions. The parents and the students are willing to contribute this. And what those specifics are would need to be discussed over the next couple of years. But I think everyone is going to share in the benefits of whatever happens. Some people will benefit more directly day to day because they're in the building day to day. Other people will benefit because it's good for the community. But if it's just taxpayers, please pay more on top of everything else that's everyday course of business, I just don't see that passing, especially if you need 60% to pass a large bond article. So I would start, if it were me, I would start those conversations very soon, you know, with all the other stakeholders, teachers, administration, parents, students, as to what are they interested in contributing to make this successful going forward. Thank you.
Jan Bettencourt. I just have a comment. I wanted to thank the board for their interactive discussion tonight. I thought it was very refreshing, and I hope that it will continue. The other question I do have is I'm wondering if the board will be more willing to communicate with their constituents. I belong to the School District Governance Association, and I sent out, and I was asked by the association to send out a workshop notice to all of the school board members. And I did hear back from Paul and from Jesse, but I haven't heard back, and with other emails, I never hear back from other school board members. And I'm thinking if we are constituents, and I'm just wondering, is there a policy, or why is it that some of you aren't willing to communicate, or just willing to, to share your thoughts? I think all of us come and spend our time and energy, and we all are here to help and to be part of the process. But I find it a little discouraging when emails, thoughtful emails, aren't even acknowledged. So I would appreciate feedback on that. Thank you.
Yeah, Phil Oshman, 7 Rock Corner Road. 2 comments, one of them being in relationship to the school renovations. I would just ask that 10 years ago, or 2007, 6 or 7, there was an extensive study done. It took 5 years to get us to where we were ready to present it to the community. It conflicted with the safety services building, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of input was put in at that time. Dan Bison was a big part of that. So I think there's an advantage, assuming that everybody gets along with Dan Bison, to go back to him and pick his brain, and maybe even go back to some of the people that were on that committee at the time, because it was extensive, and there's no reason to reinvent the wheel if there's a lot of that information is already out there. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, we've been residents for 40 years in this community, love the school system, still love the school system. But a comment was made from the desk up there about 3 or 4 meetings ago that students come and students go. We have 40-something kids in a class in this school. We're at the higher end of a money pot as it relates to the state. I would hope that no kids leave this school unless they've been, they've been given every effort to retain them. They're not all going to be Harvard students, but they're all going to be citizens and participants of their communities. And I think every effort should be made to keep every kid we can in this school. We have different issues, but that's what the teachers are all about. So that's my comment on that.
Thank you, Bill.
Quick question, Jody Manson, Young Hill Road. What I was going to speak on tonight, and you said I couldn't, would you allow me to submit that to you tonight and make it part of the record? You had mentioned I could give it to you in writing, have it in writing. I'd like to make it part of the meeting tonight.
You can submit it to Mr. Holden. Whereas it's personnel or prior personnel, he'll make the determination as to where it's going to go. Thank you. Is this a follow-up?
Just wanted to, I don't think you voted, hate to say it, I don't think you voted on the paving.
We did.
We did it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Check.
Seeing no further movement to the microphone, I'll close the public comment portion of our meeting and move to
Agenda items for next time?
Please.
Start with paving.
Yeah. Version something.
Thank you.
Paving, will give you I'll try to give you an update regarding facilities, some of the central facilities, where we are in that process. Once
Yes.
also we can make this.
I would like to have our next meeting at
Elementary
the
school.
elementary school.
Make sure that gets notified.
Yep.
I'll have a math curriculum overview at that point.
Can we do a STEM overview at some point, or does that fall under the math? Or
So I'll bring STEM, I think.
STEAM.
Thanks.
Good stuff.
I do that all the time. Team STEM. I'll bring it, how about next year? Either September or October next year? And maybe at that point, we'd even do some walking and looking. Maybe.
I would love to hear at some point from the students that are doing the job shadow. We have 6 coming to Hypertone next week, so I can see those 6, but I'd be curious with all the different companies that we go to.
You want a guidance overview on?
Just a snapshot of the student voices of what that experience means to them, what they learn, because we have
From the student perspective.
student perspective. Whether if they want to come and just share a minute or just even a couple quotes, it'd be refreshing to
Got some kids?
hear that. Miles has done a pretty amazing job, at least from Hypertherm's view, of getting kids access to some pretty special opportunities. So love to hear from them, not just the ones I'll get to meet next week. You need to hear what they're getting from that, because we have a lot of kids that come to, I shouldn't say kids, we have a lot of students that aren't on the Ivy League track or the college track. I have a lot of young coworkers that are able to go from a high school into Hypertherm. So I'm interested from that perspective of talking with Jan about this earlier. So just we need to hear some of the stories.
Any other items to be discussed on our agenda? Do
We will bring you
got
back.
graduation coming up?
Formal process for the athletic one failure piece, paving. Graduation will be the week, that Friday, so we can give you, I don't know what to give you. We can tell you graduation's gonna be next Friday, and you're all welcome to attend.
All right.
Sorry, just because I caught the end of that, Mr. Olden, I apologize, but the athletic piece,
Yeah.
in fairness, I don't think I'll be able to have
We'll have it
anything
formalized, so we'll figure it out
formalized, so if
next
we
year.
could put that maybe to the
problem.
fall or
Good.
something. That's okay.
Yeah, it's on the radar, that's good.
Good.
All right, we have
Okay with that?
superintendent's evaluation.
So we're gonna see going into
So we're going to non-public, and we also have an administrative letter, or letter from an administrator. Those two items are under personnel. I'll need a motion from someone. Ed, if you could move to go into non-public under 91.
Make a motion to go into non-public under 91A32C, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the body or agency itself, unless such person requests an open meeting.
Thank you. Motion made by Ed, seconded by April. Roll call vote. I'm going to start with April. April, yes.
Yes.
Ed, yes. Paul, yes. Jesse?
Yes.
Yes.
Paul, can you explain that in the future? I still need to hear you guys in the middle of things up. I can't hear you what you're saying.
I will. All right, we are now in non-public.